I'll go ahead and get this started so that so that we're honoring your time at least. So last week's call, or the last time that we chatted, we spent some time talking about the successes that we're having with our with our pipeline. Kasenbaum was really good at generating some current client referrals from his database. Regardless if they turned into a transaction or not, it was still the methodology behind what you do and what you say and what your mindset is every time you speak to a client to at least get them to give you a name and a phone number and a contact. John, do you really focus any time and energy on cultivating new opportunities out of your current pipeline?
You're talking about the ones who have apt or that we have full credit for who are looking to purchase?
Well, I think you can go down both roads. I think the conversations that you have with both of them are pretty powerful in each of their respects. One is more, how you doing? How's the house hunt coming along? What can I do to help you? What can I do to help you become more happy? Happier with my service. I told you in the beginning that my goal is to get you to refer me to become an advocate in my business. Compared to the people that are in the process. Hey, how are things going? Is my team doing everything that we said we're going to do? Do you feel like we're managing the process for you well enough? Who else do you know who's going through the home buying process or starting to that we could have a chance to work with and talk to?
Right.
So, I mean, I think you can do it on both sides, but if you look at the gamut of people that you have pre-qual and apt, I would be curious to know if you're having any conversations like that, because that's really an untapped resource that, with people that already know you, like you, and trust you.
Yeah, no, the answer is no. I do a lousy job because I've never really taken advantage of that. The only thing I do look at is whoever the listing agent is, I contact them and I ask for the contact information for the the seller. Okay. And I try to get the contact information to keep them updated. And I try to develop that relationship with the listing agent, as well as potentially to say, hey, I can help your seller by looking at their financing or whatever. But it's not very formalized, but that's the only thing I do for anyone who's remotely involved in the process.
Okay. So how many people do you have pre-qualified and apt today? Give me a roundabout number.
I can tell you right now. 1 second. 1, 2, 5, 6, 12.
So that's apt and pre-qualified.
Oh, no. That is not apt. No, see, that's one thing. In the past, I would take someone and do an application, but what maybe the definition for me is, let me pull their credit, let me get their information, and if I think that we want to run, we'll run findings, and I'm like, hey, this thing's a go, let's move forward, and when you're ready, are you ready to move now, finding out what their timeline is, and if they're ready to go, then they send us all their stuff. We try to have them send us their stuff in advance, but we don't really app them unless we have a contract. Is that what you mean?
What I'm looking for is for somebody that agrees to work with you because they know you, like you, and trust you. How many people do you believe that you currently have either a credit report pulled on, an application on, that falls into the category of, yes, they are going to work with me when the time comes for them to do a loan?
Exclusive of the people who are in my database that I have not contacted, right?
Just active. I'm only looking for active people right now because I'm going to draw a picture for you that I want you to look at, and the numbers are really they're really staggering if you apply a couple strategies that I'm going to teach you today on the call, so that you can learn how to cultivate this business so that you'll never have to worry about chasing realtors.
I've only got 8, not 12.
Okay, 8, not 12. Okay, so you have 8 people that are either in process or apt. I'm sorry, that are pre-qualified or apt.
Okay, now if you're counting the people who are in my pipeline, who are application, who are moving toward a refinance or closing, are you talking about those people also?
Yes. These are people that already know you, like you, and trust you, and that are going to do business with you, correct?
That's 10 more.
Okay, so 18. So out of those 18 people, how good would you feel if you got another 6 transactions out of those 18 applications or 18 relationships in the next 30 days?
Insane. Happy.
Why would you feel insane about that?
Because I've never used my existing pipeline as an opportunity to gather more fruit.
Okay.
And until after they close.
Right, right. Do you see that when somebody agrees to to work with you, they've already given you the highest possible respect. They've already honored you because they know you. Obviously, they like you, obviously, and they trust you more so than they trust anybody else because they're giving you some of their most privileged and private information.
Correct.
So at that point, there's a extremely high level of loyalty and an extremely high level of professionalism that they have bestowed upon you. And so we tend to fill in the void of, we guarantee everything that we're going to do. We promise and make commitments to our clients all day long through the entire process. That's just kind of how the transaction of it goes. The problem lies in the fact that when we don't use those people and their willingness to work with us as advocates of our business, we lose out on about 30% of our pipeline giving us, giving us a lead. So out of those 18, if you structure your conversations and are purposeful in your dialogue with them, you will probably find that out of those 18 people, there are 6 new transactions awaiting for you in that grouping of people. And it's kind of an analogy. Well, the analogy that I use is like this. If somebody gives you an apple, you can eat the apple and then you can throw the core away. But what's the most fruitful piece of that apple? Is it the fruit around the seeds, or is it the seeds themselves?
Core, seeds.
Okay, so when you look at a client, most of what you're doing is eating the fruit and throwing away the core. Well, if you'd been taking the core and nourishing those seeds and planting those seeds, you by now may have had an orchard already created, as opposed to having to go to the store and buy 5 or 6 apples at a time. Now, obviously, it's more work. The problem begets is, do you understand that it's something that you're doing anyway? You're already dialoguing, you're already having these conversations, you're already filling the void of meeting their expectations and in some cases exceeding them. You know, I looked at Facebook today and it showed you out to dinner at that really nice restaurant from one of your clients. Now, this client is a friend of yours, or was he a friend of yours before, or was he just a client?
Both.
Okay, so he was a friend before. He was a friend first, okay. So you've got a relationship with somebody who honors your friendship at the highest regard, right? And that dinner that you guys went to looked like it was pretty over the top.
$1,800.
Wow. I've got some good friends. I've never had a friend of mine take me out for an $1,800 dinner.
Me neither.
So the point being is that you, by nature, have an attraction method that, if you use it correctly, can help spur a whole nother layer, or in my mind, another pillar of your business. See, we have our realtors as a pillar, we have our past clients as a pillar, but a lot of times we miss out on one of the easiest and most, we talk low-hanging fruit, one of the lowest hanging fruits, and that's our current clients. And our current clients have already agreed to the way we want to do business because we've told them about all the guarantees and commitments that we'll make. But where we miss out on is setting the stage appropriately in the beginning to get them to realize that we have certain expectations and commitments that we need from them. And you can have this conversation at the very beginning of a dialogue. You can have it in the middle of a process. Hell, you can even have it at the end of the transaction. But it is a scientific fact that people that are going through, or people that are involved in something, are aware of it in their surroundings more than they'll ever be. So I'll give you an example. So I have a 2003 BMW X5. She's my pride and joy. She looks as new as the day. What's that?
You said an X or an M?
X5.
Okay, SUV. Got it.
Yep, my next one's probably going to be an X5M if I have my way. So, okay. But my truck I've had since 2005. I know every BMW X5 that comes by, whether it's the 3.0, the 4.4, the M, the 5.0, the 4.6 IS, the 4.8. I see them everywhere. There's not a BMW X5 that doesn't go drive by me that I don't notice. Much the same way with the car you're driving, or whether it's the Clemson football, the Clemson Tiger sign. You notice it more than you notice probably any other sign because it's relevant to you. Just like the car that you drive, just like the shoes that you wear or the watches that you wear. There is a part of our brain that filters out all of the subliminal ads that are bombarded on us every day and only let the ones in that are relevant to us. Right. The same holds true with people when they're doing a mortgage or when they're buying a home. When they're buying a home, do you not think that they're talking to other people in their life about buying a home? Do you not think that they're talking to their friends and their family and the coworkers about the appraisal that was done or the home that they found or the city that they're moving to? There are so many conversations that come up. That is exactly the message that I'm trying to get, because our client is going to have that conversation. Don't you think there are other people in their life that are having similar conversations that they're going to be more attracted to because they're going through it themselves? And so the truth behind it is that if we're not conditioning and training our clients that are actively using us or have agreed to use us, we're missing out on a huge opportunity for them to be basically advocates or walking billboards for our business. Can you see that?
Yeah, the way you just said it is striking. It's pretty awesome.
The reality for us is, the reality for you in this case is, every time you go to bat, every time you earn a relationship, and let's be honest, you've earned that relationship, and you're not capitalizing on it, all you're doing is eating the apple, taking a bite of it, and throwing it away.
Nice.
The problem with it is that we are so conditioned to want to do a great job for our clients that we don't believe that we should create an expectation or a commitment from them as we take them through the process. Wouldn't it be great that if through the onset of the file, your average loan size, John, is what, north of 300?
It was 309 last year.
309. So if every one of your clients could refer you a borrower, and you looked at the income that you would make on a $300,000 mortgage, and all you had to do was ask, and all you had to do was set the stage so that it didn't feel salesy or it didn't feel weak, and your clients knew that that was an agreement that they had made when they decided to work with you, how powerful would it be if you got your current clients to refer you a consistent amount of business that you could literally track?
It would be a game changer.
Well, it wouldn't take you a lot. It wouldn't cost you any money, and it would really be like a control volume knob for your business.
Yeah, what you're saying basically is I could get a third of the deals that I close in a year increase by implementing this methodology, this process.
For every 10 clients that you have actively in your pipeline, you should be able to, with creative dialoguing and conversation, be able to yield an additional 3 leads and or opportunities out of those transactions.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Here's a statistic that I want to throw at you real quick. Out of your 10 clients, you have 2 of them that are what I call raving fans. These are people like your friend that took you to dinner.
Say it again?
You have, out of 10 clients, if you were to take a snapshot of 10 clients, you can probably break them down into 3 different categories. 20% of those 10 are what we would consider your raving fans. Your friend who took you to dinner is arguably a raving fan. He's probably somebody who adamantly talks about you in a positive light and probably wouldn't do anything without your, without your permission, and or wouldn't think of going someplace else other than using you.
Okay.
You have another 20% that are what we call introverts. People that are not like you and I, John. People that are not very conversational, not very social, don't tend to be the social hub of their friends and their network. And no matter how good of a job you do, they're just never gonna say anything. So we've really categorized 40% of your database. You have another 60% of your database that I would consider to be your most valuable asset, in the sense of most of these people offer up opportunities to help you, but you don't take advantage of it. Every single one of these people would gladly help you if they knew you needed it. Every single one of these people like you, know you, trust you, and would vehemently tell other people about you and the service that you do for them if you simply asked. So you've got the category of people that you don't even have to ask, they're just going to refer you. You have the category of people that no matter how many times you ask, they're just never going to refer you. And then you have that largest part, which are people that only need to know what help you need, and they'd gladly do it. The problem is that we come from a place of weakness when we ask for help. Men especially are conditioned and trained that through our life, asking for help is a sign of weakness. I guess that's why we have such a hard time asking for directions. It's not so much that way anymore, but in the past, asking for directions was always a sign of weakness. I was raised to never ask for help because I was always taught that I need to work harder in order for me to figure things out. But one of the things hit me early on in my career, and it was this. If you position yourself in a way to where you ask for help, you'd be shocked at how many people just want to help you because they like you. And somebody told me this story once, and it has to do with your friends. If you moved without telling your friends, John, how many of your friends would be upset that you didn't ask them for help? Do you have any friends that would care?
Oh yeah.
So what if you think about it? If you think about not asking your friends for help, does asking them for help, is that a sign of weakness, or is that a testament to the strength of the relationship that you guys have?
The latter.
It's a testament to the significance of the relationship, right?
Right.
So why are we not asking our largest percentage of our database for help?
Lazy.
Is it really laziness?
Didn't know that I didn't know.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. But if you know now that your database would gladly help you if you ask them, does that change the way you view your client?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, is that you, Denise?
Yep.
Oh.
I am muted because I'm in the car, so I didn't want all this background noise.
Oh, no problem, no problem. So here's the point of the message that I'm trying to get across. Every one of the clients, and John, in this particular case, you have 18 of them. If 18 people, if I picked up the phone and were to call 18 of these people and ask them, do you guys know that John's business is purely based on relationships? How many of them would give me the answer that I'm looking for?
The answer
if he hasn't told them.
Well, he hasn't told them. So probably there's a good chance that most of them would go, I had no idea. And here's the case in point. I still, after 3 years of being removed from the business, still get my past clients calling me up with referrals. They're still adamantly going out there and endorsing my business, regardless of how many times I've talked to them. And it's a feature of what I did when I created and took every application and created every relationship. And that is, I spent more time delivering the message that I need them to be an advocate of my business and that I need them to endorse me to their friends and their family and their colleagues, regardless if I did alone or not. And the amazing part is that I had a past client. Well, she wasn't even a past client. Her name was Shannon. 4.5 years ago, I wasn't able to help her get a loan. But because I worked so hard and I told her about how my business was built, she came back to us about 2 months ago because her and her fiance are ready to buy a house, and she wouldn't think of going anyplace else. The truth behind it is that had I not set the stage up in the very beginning and reiterated it every time I talked to her, I probably would have lost her as a client because she wasn't in my database. She never did a loan with me. She just remembered the conversations that I had with her over and over and over again. And John, if you're not taking full advantage of those opportunities, you miss out on a huge percentage of your growth, because at the end of the transaction, as happy as they are, it is infinitely harder to go back to them and try to realign with what it is that you need from them, when the one time that you can do that is when you guys are making an agreement to work together.
Absolutely.
Denise
Yep.
can speak about this a little bit, can't you, Denise?
Well,
Because you and I have
I
worked
mean,
on this individually.
yeah, I mean, the thing too is, it's just do it consistently is where I falter. I mean, I immediately I see it when I just asked. I did that. I reached out to 2 clients after that, the last call, the one call that we did, saying going back, and I got 2 referrals. I got 2 referrals. I mean, one, the guy, I didn't end up getting the deal because his deal was falling apart, and I guess they ended up fixing it when they heard he was going elsewhere, but he did call me. And the second one, I've got a guy that's going to be ready to do something in November. So it does work. It really works.
And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to go back and have those conversations. But the impact is probably greatest served when you talk about it from the very onset of the call, from the very onset of the establishment of the relationship. See, I was never too concerned with closing the deal as much as I was concerned with I have a chance to take another person and have them go out into the world and advocate my business. And simply based on the law of averages, if I do that consistently for a good solid 15 years, guess what happens? I can be fully removed out of the business for 3 years and still get business out of it.
Beautiful.
And if I was active in it, it would make it even more impactful. So what I want to drive home to you, John, and I work with Denise on this separately, but it's this. I would love to sit down with you and open up a dialogue and teach you how to be able to set the stage in the beginning, but more importantly, kind of work with you on how you can talk to your clients through the process, and then be able to give you some additional techniques on what you can say to people that have recently closed that could possibly still help you advocate your business and capture them as well. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think about a guy like Jamie Benner, and I think about a guy like Todd Barr, and I think about where their business is coming from. Jamie Benner's business is also referred. And believe it or not, John, I don't think any of your business isn't referred to you, right?
Very little.
And that's happening just because the 20% of people that are out there are sending you business. That 20% that we categorize, those are the people that are sending you, because the other people don't have any idea that you need the help. Imagine if you captured another 60% of your database doing the same thing. What kind of results do you think you'd see?
I could buy a new car.
There you go. There you go. The reality is that it's not going to cost you anything to do this technique. It isn't going to be difficult for you to try this at all, and it's not going to take long for you to see the impact. I mean, Denise picked up the phone and called 2 people and was able to see results almost instantaneously. And the result isn't necessarily the closed loan. The result is I have the ability of networking inside of my database or networking within my current clients, and they turn into opportunities that weren't there if I didn't ask.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Sure does.
So the last week's call that you guys were not on, I had challenged the group to reach out to the listing agents that were in their pipeline. Because right now, I think the greatest opportunity beyond the current client referrals lies in our ability to deliver an impeccable level of service and an impeccable turn time for our listing agents that they're not getting elsewhere. Now more than ever, I think it's really easy to pick up the phone and have a conversation with a listing agent and sit down and have a conversation with them either over the phone or face-to-face about a chance for them to refer you, one of their clients. Larissa Colon had a specific conversation last time that specifically she reached out to, and when she asked the listing agent for a referral, he gave her one. So the challenge last week, and I'll pose the same one to you guys this week, is I would love to see your results if you guys were to plug into the listing agents that are actively in your pipeline and see if you aren't able to cultivate a relationship that's really predicated on, I'm doing a great job for you, we're providing you with a high level of service. Who else do you know that you're working with that I could have a chance to work with as well? So that was last on the call that we did on the 13th. That was the challenge that I posted to everybody.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So is that a challenge you guys can try over the next 4 days before we have our class on Friday?
Oh, we're having,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Mr. John?
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Okay, buddy. Are you are you at capacity, John? I mean, are you to the point where you can't handle any more loans?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm sleeping,
Okay.
so I still have room to not sleep and do more deals. Good.
Okay. Well, I just want to caution you that when you start doing what I'm telling you, it's going to change. It's going to change your business model immensely.
I'm excited for that.
Okay, buddy. Well, then, as soon as I hang up the call, I'll send you an email and respond to the email that I sent you and give me 3 times this week that work for you. I'll just take 30 to 40 minutes with you and just work with you on one stage at a time. And over the next 3 weeks, 40 minutes a week, I'll give you some techniques that if you actually work with and implement them into your business, you especially, just like Denise, you guys are strong attractors. And if you just simply ask for the business in a cool way, in a very honoring way, I think you'll be amazed at the results that you get. But it does require you to be very consistent. Does anybody have their screen open? John, do you see what's on my computer screen?
I'm on my phone, so.
Yes, cut out the distractions.
Can you read what's underneath it?
I could, but now the screen just went blank.
All right, I'll read it out loud, no sweat. Cut out all the distractions. Since the #1 reason for mediocre production is distraction, identify your biggest distraction and do everything possible today to eliminate it. What's your biggest distraction, Denise?
Right, busy work, being my own employee.
Okay. Can you give me a technique by Friday that you are going to implement that will change at least one part of the busy work that you do every day?
Yep. I need to make a plan. I need to make a plan before I even walk into the office. I need to have a plan.
Yep.
And I need to stick to that plan.
Agreed. John, what about you, buddy?
My kids.
Your what? Your kid?
My kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can't get rid of your kid.
I'll figure something out.
Well, you know what? One of the things that I think works really, really well is a distraction is something that shows up when you're really not ready for it. And so maybe there's an investment into your child or children, and I can't remember if you said multiple or not, but maybe where you spend enough time with them that you ask for permission to block out a certain amount of time so that there is no distraction. I don't know.
Okay.
So I love that quote. I'm going to start adding these to every one of our calls, and I like them. I think it's pretty powerful. So, all right, guys, that's all I had for today. Friday, I'll send out the calendar invite. I'll send out this replay to everybody as well. But by Friday, I want to see you guys have at least some attempts with some listing agents, and I want to hear the conversations and see how they go.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
So, good afternoon, guys. Thanks for your time.
You too. Bye-bye.
See you guys.